Hello everybody and welcome to this week's Markets to Watch from Smack the Markets for week commencing the 10th of June. So with the seesaw price action we saw last week with a continuation of rising stock prices and increasing value in the indices, we also saw a continuation of the weakening of the US dollar. That had quite a significant move to the short side last week. How do we actually setting up for price direction this week? So let's take a look at a few markets here that we're keeping a close eye on in the trading room. Now, if we're going to have a look at the Dow Jones here, last week, in fact, for the past few weeks, we've been talking about this key level around this 25,500 level here on the weekly chart. Very significant price point here on the weekly that we've discussed many times before. And last week, we managed to trade or managed to close significantly above 25,500. So we've certainly had a good run, and we've certainly sort of broken through some of those sort of key resistance areas. Now, last week we were looking at opportunities throughout these sort of trading windows up to a conclusion of 26,200, and the market actually hit that level. So the question is, well, where's it going to go now? Are we going to be looking for a big decline, or are we going to be looking for continuation long? Now, of course, looking at the higher time frames, the daily chart and the weekly chart, these trend structures, there's not really an awful lot of a trend. The market has sort of broken the previous lower high, but there's not really a sort of a trend in the long move. We really need to come down to the sort of 4-hour time frame and the 8-hour to start to see any sort of context of trend. So if we come down to the sort of 4-hour chart, we can see that the 4-hour trend here has been completely broken with the bullish momentum that's been coming into stocks. And we can also see that we've got good sort of geometry or reasonable geometry on this time frame too. So looking at this, we can see that the market sort of retraced back after 26,200 back into another level here around 26,100. And we're sort of finding a bit of support around here. From a preference point of view, we've got significant support underneath price. And if I just sort of zoom out of this slightly, you'll see 26,000 here, also a very significant level on this market on this time frame, but also on higher time frames as well. So any sort of retracement back, the market's going to hit into levels of previous support and significant levels of support at that. So our sort of preference really here is to be looking for new long opportunities here on these markets, where the market sort of pulls back into levels, preferably sort of clustering with sort of moving averages here to give us a sort of value areas to be looking for turning points, looking for a continuation to the high side. Now, of course, we'll still be looking at long opportunities whilst these midterm time frames stay intact. If these break and the trends decline further, then we'll need to go up to higher time frames to get some sort of indication. But certainly the way that the fundamentals are looking at the moment, we could be looking for continuation of strong stock prices going into the first half of this week. So as far as levels are concerned, we've got sort of 26,100 where we are. We've got the 26,200, which was that sort of conclusion area for last week. Above that, well, we're sort of up here to 26,350, up to sort of 26,450 as well. So those are the sort of stepping stones that we're looking for in the US Dow future. Now, if we come and take a look at precious metals, last week we were looking at sort of prices for a move here on silver up to the 1510 level. Now the market just sort of poked above 1510 and that's where it concluded, and now we're seeing a decline here in silver prices. Now silver is not necessarily sort of our preference this week. We can see that the trends here have certainly sort of turned as we're seeing a sort of a switch from safe havens into more sort of the sort of higher potential reward assets such as stocks at the moment. So coming over to precious metals, our sort of preference really is the gold market this week. So we like gold here if we can see a continuation of a rolling out of precious metals, and this would be looking for moves to the short side. From the higher time frames here, we can see that 1350, the market has rejected off the 1350 level. This has been quite a technical level on this market. So we're looking for a bit of a retracement back into key price points. At this moment in time, we're not necessarily looking at a complete turnaround of trend and for this to be rejected and take out these lows, but certainly just looking for some sort of retracement back into value areas for the meantime. So on the daily chart, we can see that we've got sort of 1320, I should say. 1320 is a key level on this market. Again, another level that we've spoken about many times. That also brings us into sort of touching into these moving averages here, and it takes out a lot of this overextension that we've seen over the last week. So a sort of retracement back into that 1320 area is what we're sort of looking for. So come down to the 4-hour time frame, we can see that we've got a bit of a structure here where if the market sort of breaks lower from where it is, we've broken the neckline of this sort of double top or sort of triple top sort of formation that we've got forming here, and that's going to sort of set things up nicely for a sort of a deeper short move. The next sort of level that we have is that 1320 level. So that sort of brings us into that level that we saw there on the daily time frame. So that's the sort of trading window that we're looking at. So should prices continue to weaken, we'll start to see a breach into that, and we'll start to look for trading opportunities short. Now, on the currency side, our preference at this moment, our most interesting market at the moment, is on Aussie dollar. So if we take a look at this on the weekly chart, Aussie dollar off the 7,000 level here has been a market we were stalking last week as the market retraced back up into the level, back up into those moving averages. So lovely technical level, very nicely and precisely tested, and also it's at a nice value area here on the weekly chart. So if the weekly trend continues, we could be looking for opportunities back down towards the low of the swing here on this market, and that's where we're looking for trading opportunities. If we come down to the sort of mid time frames, again, we've got a sort of a double top formation here on the 4-hour time frame. Break of this neckline here on the 4-hour underneath price sort of sets things up that now for a reversal. And again, underneath this sort of level, if we get continued weaker prices, we'll be looking for opportunities down short on this market, initially down to the sort of 69.40 level, and then beyond as that sort of weekly trend continues. So there's a few markets there that we're keeping a close eye on in the trading room in the first half of this week. I certainly hope it helps, and look forward to speaking to you next time. Bye for now.